I served 3 terms on the Board of Governors, which is 9 years, which is a large amount of time. I made the decision to run for the board because although I started my career in Washington, I'm the quintessential Washington lawyer. I clerked for 2 years, federal clerkship, and I moved to Washington and started working and have never left. I realized, however, that like many Washington lawyers who were in firms at the time and even today, most of my practice had me in court in other jurisdictions. I was in court more in California and New York than I was in DC. And I realized that although I lived in Washington and worked in Washington, I really wasn't connected to the Washington legal community, the bar. And so it started as an opportunity for me to expand my horizons in that regard. I'd been doing pro bono, but interestingly, the pro bono work that I was doing was also not in Washington. So I felt disconnected from the profession here, and I sought an opportunity to find a way to get to know my fellow DC bar members. It has meant a lot to me because, as mentioned, it allowed me to ground myself in the community here. And by community, I mean the wealth of legal talent and that we have here and the friendships we have here among colleagues and the ability to know who's who on the Washington legal scene and who's doing what. And I mean more than my fellow, at the time, big law colleagues, but as a result of being on the Board of Governors, I was able to connect to the solo community, for example, which is a deeply rich and talented pool of attorneys, and I had not been connected to that demographic, and also the small firm practitioners. I am now in a small firm, so I understand a lot more about that area of practice and how lawyers work and how they work together and how they seek out new work and how they serve the community. A lot of times in ways that aren't really obvious because they aren't doing big, high profile pro bono cases, but they are helping small businesses and families with legal matters, which is amazingly important because small businesses are the background of our economy and families are the background of everything. My advice would be to campaign, if you are going to make the run, campaign from your heart, not so much your head. I would suggest that you revert to that idealistic notion of what a lawyer should be that many of us had before we went to law school, and hopefully that many of us have somehow retained some portion of that because we are a service profession. Many of us end up being paid for our services. Hopefully everyone is paid in some way for their services. But oftentimes the business aspect of law, I've observed, seems to supersede the service aspect in terms of service to the community. So I would say genuinely speak to your heart as to the issues that the members of the bar face. And those issues are not limited to the billable hour. They're not limited to making partner. They expand, they encompass the entire realm of human existence. And so if you bring that to your service and to your campaign, you will be immensely helpful, and you will also get a lot out of it personally.